Before we get started, I didn't do an end-of-year channel update video like I did in 2017, however, I do have some really exciting news about the future of Arlo stuff that I've turned into an extra special Arlocast. Usually Arlocasts are for my $3 and up patrons only, but I've made this one public so any and all fans can get the scoop. I talk about what I'd like to do with the channel and new opportunities that are arising. It's all very exciting stuff, and while I'm at it, I also reflect on my 2018 and talk about my favorite videos that I did and stuff like that. It's a good time, so head on down to the description of this video and click the link there if that is your kind of thing. Thank you and have a good day. Snargle. Another day, another Nintendo quote being harvested for the clicks, and here I am with my sickle with the rest of them, ready to jump on this and hope everyone clicks my thing instead of anyone else's. Here is my hot take, although I looked it up, and apparently usually when you say hot take, there's like a negative connotation. It's like your first initial impression, but like a bad one because you put it out so fast because you wanted to beat everyone else. I'm hoping this is not actually a bad one. I think we've kind of started to just use hot take as initial impression, not necessarily positive or negative. Anyway, so there's this thing going around. Nintendo Everything posted an article where it looked like they translated it, or contributors translated an interview that Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa had with the publication Nikkei. Sorry about the weakness in my voice. I think I'm getting a little bit sick, and it's also the morning, so yeah, double whammy there. So before we really dive into this, I'm just gonna read the pertinent parts of the interview. Nikkei asked, you've put out a lot of consoles and software, but there's always a really big risk that comes with it. Furukawa responded with, we're in the entertainment industry. There isn't much we can do about that risk. To us, the guiding principle by which we operate is offering customers all around the world innovative and unique ways to play games. I don't want our developers to think too much along the lines of, what should I do if we fail? He goes on to talk a little bit about his management philosophies, which is not exactly relevant, but it's actually pretty interesting. Basically, he's a good leader. A good leader trusts his team and builds up people that he can rely on. A bad leader is someone who just says, everybody do what I want, and that's the end of it. So, he's basically just saying, like, he leads a little bit, and he also likes to let his pro designers, make a lot of the big decisions because they're the professionals. So I thought that was good, but moving on though. Here's a really big thing. Have you ever run into an innovation dilemma where the company's past successes are too big, making innovation impossible? Furukawa responds with, we aren't really fixated on consoles. At the moment, we're offering the uniquely developed Nintendo Switch and its software, and that's what we're basing how we deliver the Nintendo experience on. That being said, technology changes. We'll continue to think flexibly about how to deliver that experience as time goes on. It has been over 30 years since we started developing consoles. Nintendo's history goes back even farther than that, and through all the struggles that they faced, the only thing that they thought about was what to make next. In the long term, perhaps our focus as a business could shift away from home consoles. Flexibility is just as important as ingenuity. Nikkei then asks, do you expect fluctuations in business performance to continue from here on? Furukawa responds with, I'm thinking about little ways we can reduce that kind of instability. I'd like to increase the amount of games on smartphones that have a continuous stream of revenue. We're also dabbling in theme parks and movies, different ways to have our characters be a part of everyday life. I'm anticipating a strong synergy like that. So here's the thing that we're dealing with right now, perhaps predictably and inevitably, many publications, I will not name who, are kind of taking this story and kind of spinning it into a very clickable kind of story. I mean, it's just natural. I kind of get it. It is true that what he is saying is it is possible that they could shift their attention away from consoles in the future. But then, again, not naming names, but many are kind of taking this little bit that he's saying about shifting away from consoles and then kind of segueing directly into the one little quote about how he wants to put more games on smartphones. And of course, when you only look at that information, it's pretty weird. It's not super comfortable. It sounds like he's saying, maybe we won't make consoles forever, and maybe we'll just make smartphone games and just stop even making regular software at all. We just want Mario Run in Animal Crossing Island Life and all that. And I'm seeing a bit of a stink rising from this. A lot of people are in a little bit of a tizzy. It's a bit of a kerfuffle. You know what I mean? But I feel like when you look at the entire picture, it's basically he's just saying it's possible we won't do consoles forever. And that makes perfect sense. Everyone's been saying that. Every major publisher and console manufacturer has been saying that to some degree. And I think a lot of times companies will say this because they want to move away, because the subscription services and streaming and all that is a lot more profitable, and that is not a future that I want. But I do believe that sometimes they're just being realistic. You know, eventually we won't need consoles. It just won't be a thing that is necessary. You know, it'll be like, technology is so great, anything can be played on any device, even a smartphone. That doesn't mean it has to be a smartphone game. It can literally just mean, oh, you just plug your smartphone into your TV or literally any other screen, and you've got all the games in the world forever. You know what I mean? He's just being realistic about where technology is going, and it's a good thing, you know, because there was once a time when it seemed that Nintendo was completely married to their consoles, and it seemed just like, no, we don't want to do anything. You know, people are like, oh, they should go third party. They're like, we're never gonna go third party. We should just keep making consoles forever. You know, at least he's being realistic. He's just like, yeah, like, who knows, you know, 10, 20, 30 years in the future, who knows where the industry's going to be. Consoles might not even make sense anymore. And yeah, like I said, it makes this whole thing a little bit more weird when you kind of segue directly into that smartphone thing, because it makes it sound like he's saying that in, you know, as a follow-up to the thing about not doing consoles in the future, which makes it sound weird. But that's really not what he's saying, especially because some publications, not naming names, leave out the "I'm thinking about little ways we can reduce that kind of instability," then saying, "I'd like to make more smartphone games." That one little line is extremely, extremely important here, because he says, I'm not thinking about completely different directions, or you just ditch consoles and go somewhere else. He says, I'm thinking about little ways we can reduce that kind of instability. Basically, smartphone games are still just supplemental. They are ways that they can just kind of ease the pressure on everything else, just to make a little bit of extra money. And that's perfect. That's what they're doing right now with their smartphone games. The smartphone games are not getting super duper priority. They're not becoming a mobile developer. They're not stopping making big games. Oh, I only want to make services now. So I think that one little detail is really, really important, and it kind of debunks the whole I don't know, narrative that I feel many publications, not naming names, are kind of building. And you know, a lot of different places, they use different parts of this interview to kind of different effects, and you know, whatever, this is what people are gonna do, I guess. And it's funny because, like I said, in the past, it seemed like they were completely married to the idea and would never ever even consider getting rid of consoles. And please don't just completely, like, I don't know, get super mad at me or something over this. In the past, I have been one of those people, super sorry for what I'm about to say, to suggest that it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world for Nintendo to go third party. Not saying they should or whatever, just saying I don't think it's as bad of an idea as a lot of people give credit to. They make great games. Just imagine a world where Nintendo games could be played on anything. Anybody could enjoy Nintendo games. I think Nintendo would sell a lot more games. Naturally now with the Switch, I do like the unique experience of having them handheld. I'm glad they have the Switch. I'm glad they didn't go third party or whatever, but at the same time, playing games is the most important thing. I like playing them handheld, so I don't know if this is the right place to bring this up, but I would be somewhat open to the idea, like if they ever did just want to be like, you know what, we're just gonna put our games on Steam and Xbox and PlayStation 4. I would miss the unique experience and all that stuff. There's other downsides as well, but like they would sell a lot more units of their games. They'd have an install base of 200-300 million people, and so I could see them doing that and it sort of making sense and not destroying the company. That's a whole discussion for another day. I was gonna make a video on it, but then the Switch did really well, so I didn't need to anymore. But anyway, I just think it's interesting that even he is just like, I don't know, maybe something like that'll happen. He's not saying that specifically, but you know, moving away from consoles can mean a number of different things. Anyway, that's enough on that. If any of you are weirded out by his comments, I say, please don't be. I really honestly do not believe there is anything to be worried about here. Like I was at first, because I was being, you know, being fed the story through a few different lenses, and it's been summarized in a few different ways. So I don't know, hopefully my summary of this is, I don't know, somewhat accurate to what he was actually trying to talk about. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. maybe tomorrow he'll do like a follow-up interview and he'll be like, oh no, I totally did mean that we were just gonna go to smartphones. No, you misunderstand me. We're absolutely ditching consoles next generation. All smartphones, all smartphone games, all live services. That's it. Maybe that's what he was saying. Maybe I'm the one who's in the wrong here. Maybe this is a terrible hot take for me. Anyway, thank you for listening/watching, and you have yourself a wonderful day.